Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and the reason why that method wasn't callable yesterday when I recorded my episode, the previous one, the one that I did last time, which was yesterday, just clarifying. The reason why it didn't show up is because if I go down here, this was private. And I didn't notice it. It was weird because, again, F12 go to definition would go to the definition, but it wouldn't actually build. So whatever, realized that and fixed that. I also did the rest of them, just move stuff into their own classes. I realized that the mockable events, even though events aren't necessarily mockable in and of themselves, they have this thing where you can basically set them up and call them. So in any event, I didn't have any specific tests around that. So now I've got that into place. One other thing that I want to do before I move on is there's a couple of types in here that I do that aren't extensions. And I really should move them into just the root, which could potentially, I don't think any of these would break anything because these are all used when you build the stuff. None of this actually shows up in the resultant generated code. So one thing that's interesting, for example, if I come down to method match, that's in rocks extensions, okay? So now if I come here and I say cut, and then I come down here and I say paste, what you should see is method match. So give it a second. The things slow down when I'm recording, but you see it now switches. I don't know if it switches everywhere it's being referenced, but it does switch it here. So I am seriously thinking about buying a desktop with a screen and everything else and just going that route because I just don't, this laptop is fine. It works just fine if I'm working myself without any recording or going on. But as soon as I start recording, it just slows down. And especially Rocks does. And it's quite frustrating. Most of the time you don't see that. I cut that out. In fact, I probably just cut out this section where I realized I had Outlook open. If you go back, you'll see that the Outlook icon was down at the bottom and it's no longer there. I cut some of that stuff out so you don't see that time of waiting. But for me, it's getting to be annoying. I would rather just get into a flow, and when I have to wait so long for something to finish, it's kind of a thorn in the side type of thing, and I would rather it just work. So in any event, let's just grab this one, and this one. Let's cut those and put them here. It is nice that Visual Studio has this where it will go through and sync them, though again, I don't know if it actually goes through and I think it does, because if it's taking this long, my God, just to change a namespace would be horrendously bad. I do think it's going through and changing it wherever it finds it. So, because all that should be in here is just extensions. That's it. Okay, so if we come back to, let's go to type name option, because I know I just moved that in here. And now let's just do a quick build. Let's see if this updated such that everything works as expected. This would also potentially break the tests themselves because they might be referencing those things. But let's see. Let's see if it actually picks up any of these changes and everything built. Okay, it all built, everything works. So that was simple. Yay. That was a nice little one. Again, that didn't have anything to do with me making these changes for mockable member discovery, but I just wanted to get those other ones out of the way so everything was consistent. There's also some consistency things I need to do with the whole discovery stuff because I have like property mockable results, and then there's mockable properties, and then there's mockable property discovery. It just is like, ugh, it just feels kind of yucky. So I'm probably going to clean that up a little bit. We'll see. What I'm going to do next is go through these and start to break up the constructors a little bit so that we don't have still this big blob of code in one method, because that's kind of messy. Let's do the property discovery one first. So we have a, that will be interesting because we might have to move this to just a private static method. So it's used here, and then where else is it used? That's in when you do types, right? So both of these are in the case we just do a class, not an interface, because this is an interface type. Okay, so wherever we move this to, it only needs to, that local method only needs to be moved with the interface type. So let's have I think it could just be private static. And what are we returning here? Mockable properties. Get properties for interface. And so we're going to pull all these in. And I'm not sure if you need all these, but we're just going to have them here anyway. And then the other one is for get properties for class, which, let's do that. Okay, and then this, and I probably could use some refactorings that are in Visual Studio, but let's just go with this for now. So we could do this. Let's put in the one for, no, I did that wrong. I did that wrong. It goes in for class. But what we want to say here is that, and then all of this down to that line. Because we don't need to make the check. We're going to make that outside. And then we want to have, whoops, did I? Yes, we need to go deeper. It didn't go as far as I should have. So let's do this. We want to get all the way down to here. Now this is just the first part, by the way. There's definitely more that we're going to need to do. Absolutely. So we've got that. And now what we want to do is say this. We want to say here, not that, we want to say return new. And so now if we come back up here, we should be able to say if type kind, we can now say here, this dot properties is equal to mockable property discovery dot get properties for interface. And here we can pass in the mock type, the containing assembly of invocation symbol, the shims, and the ref member identifier. And this is also something that I think only needs to be passed by ref with properties, because you could have a get and set and you need two identifiers. Shut up, phone. And we don't need to do that everywhere. So let's pull this down to here. So we got that. And now what we want to say is this dot properties is for class. And we're done. Of course, we've actually got to copy that into the, that's for interface. And this is for class. So here. Okay, and then we're going to say the same thing. We're going to say return new that. Now let's get this out of the way. Why are you calling? Yeah, they're never mind. Oh, and it's because we don't do that here. Okay. So, and this is also, again, another reason why you have, what is it? Tests. Yes. Tests. Okay, so now we're down to just, why is that complaining? Not all code paths return a value. Oh, I put that in the wrong spot. There, now that goes away. Now what should happen once I finally come up to here and I say that, we can now get rid of all this. And what we can actually do is say this.properties is equal to, I know some people think, well, they could think I overuse ternaries, but I like it. Mock type.type kind is equal to type kind interface. If that's true, then, oh God, I hit the wrong key. That's true. We'll do that. Else. And I'm actually, when I'm doing this, I'm starting to do this because I want to see the indentation helps a little bit. So we'll grab this one and we'll say that. And now we'll take this out of the way. And I believe we don't need that anymore. And we can take this out because we don't need it anymore. Now, it may feel like I didn't do much of anything. And yeah, you want that to be an expression body member. Hold on. So I think I got everything in place now that they're in the right spots. So this is for classes and this is for interfaces. And again, we really haven't done much in terms of shifting around what does what where. To a little bit, but now I think it's going to start to make it a little bit easier to change things. Scroll up. Now it should be easier to change things and move things around if I want to. This is a little bit easier to get into my head. Oh yeah, that's right. That's why this is ref, because I thought this was the methods, because I was just thinking methods. No, this is properties. That's why we pass this by ref. I would believe that the method one we don't. And we do, but I would venture to guess the case that I just made. Oh, we do increase it. Oh, that's right, because this will discover it and go, okay, it has this one, now go to the next one. And so we always have to pass that around by ref. So never mind that. I was wrong. I can admit it. Sheila, somebody that I've known for a very long time, she always would give me crap and say, you never admit that you're wrong. Well, I just admitted I'm wrong, so there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is rerun the unit tests, and these should all pass. Okay, they all passed as expected. So that's what I want to do for all of them. So if I go over to rocks, if we look at the constructor one is easy. That's actually, we hardly do anything here. Because if it's a class, then we actually do something. It looks kind of funky, but that's what we do. We also just do empty if it's an array, if it's an interface, because we don't need to do anything there. I'm kind of curious as I went away. I don't think you could use, yeah, you can't, right? Because this is in a ternary. So we can't say here, I'd love to just be able to do this, but I don't think it's going to yell at me. This version of immutable array of T cannot be used with collection expressions. Isn't there an immutable array empty? You'd think it would actually give you that as an option of I method symbol. I don't think it does. Oh, there is. Well, why doesn't it give me that one? You'd think that would actually be slightly better. I don't know. Whatever. Not for me to judge. Okay, event discovery, we can do that one because, again, that one's a little bit less painful. So let's do that. And there is no. So we'll say get events for interface. Private static. I'm probably going to do the method one off camera. I'm not sure. Private static, mockable events, get events for interface. And then we also want one for class. Private static, mockable events, get events for class. Okay. And then here we just grab all this for the interface, all of it. And we do that. And do we? Yes, we do. We're going to do the same thing here. So we put that there, and I'll put it in that one there. We'll eventually get around to it, but right now. So we say return new this, return new that. And then we come up for the class one, which is slightly smaller. And then we also say here, I could have used the Windows clipboard for this, but no, return that. And now we can say up here, this dot events is equal to mock type kind is equal to type kind interface. Mockable event discovery, get events for interface, mock type containing symbol of that. Otherwise, it is the one. What? I just said copy that, but for class. And that's that. We can get rid of all this. And then have it yell at me because it wants me to make this a expression body for constructor. Yay! And that's it. So again, it's not a lot. It just makes it where these things are a little bit more contained. And I'm also thinking, like, one of the things I want to do once I get all these just shuffled around is take the things that are in, because if you go to like all interfaces here, list of all the interface was type declare subtype, excluding this type itself. And I'm kind of wondering if I can somehow combine this and say like mockable interfaces concat, R type. And I think there's an ordering inheritance relationship. Type A extends interface type B, then A precedes B in the list. And so we want to have R's at the end. And I wonder if by doing that, we can actually make some things slightly easier. I'm not sure. And I think with events, there's never an explicit interface. No, there is. There is. I think there's one of them, though, that like one of these never requires the other one. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm overthinking it, over-optimizing. But that would be kind of cool because then we could potentially get rid of this and just do this logic here. But I'm not sure. This is where, because like I already captured them from the interface type that you have here. And so then I go through and I'm like, oh, if you have matches, oops, because now you want to make sure. So I may keep it this way because this also deals with explicit interface implementation, but it may not. It may not. We'll see. But that's having this all in one place is going to be nice. Okay. So we've got that refactoring in play, except the one for methods. Let's do that one. Methods. We got to do that one. So I'm going to do this up here because I want to see it first. It's going to be private. And it's way down here. Mockable methods. Private static. Mockable methods. Get methods for class. I'm going to put all that in there. And then we also need one for the interface. And both of these are going to, for the interface there. And all these are going to need that. And then for the interface, whoops, there. We do that right here. And then we're going to eventually say return a new of this all the way back up here and down here. return new that. And then here, when we do this, oops. Let's get to the else. Here is that. Grab all that. Go up to the class version. And in the interface version, we do this. We're going to do the same thing in the class version. And that's it. So we now have these two. Let's move these down after the constructor. Nobody's calling them yet anyway, so it doesn't matter. Perfect. And then let's do the one final thing here, which is this methods is equal to mock type kind is equal to type kind. Hey, come on. Interface. We will say mockable method discovery, get methods for interface, mock type containing assembly modification, shims compilation, and ref member identifier. Else, home, else this, except now it's going to be the one for the class. And that's it. And then we can get rid of all this. And we can make it a expression body member because we love those. I wish it would do this because I end up having to push everything over, but that's okay. That's fine. All right. So again, didn't really change much, but because, you know, that method is still, that class one is pretty big. The interface one is even worse, I think, in some ways. And so we can do things like potentially also take this if statement and just throw that into its own method, you know, or like if it's this, then call this method or something like that. So I'm going to now run all the tests. If that's good, I'll commit this part of the branch, and then I'll move on to the next episode to other things within this refactoring. So I'll see if all the tests pass. And they all passed. So that's good. That means that our refactoring work up to this point hasn't broken anything, at least with the unit tests. And I would imagine that it's not going to break anything else. So off camera, I'll go through all the testing just to make sure we haven't broken anything. If that's good, then I'll commit. And then in the next episode, we'll do some more refactoring with this. I'll kind of look through this offhand and make some notes of what I want to tackle. And we will do that in the next episode. And I'm already liking this. It's still a little, wow, that's a lot of code and a lot of ifs, else, ifs. It's like, ugh. It's kind of gross. Although part of this, especially with the methods, it's just the way it is. It's not fun. But this already feels a little bit more manageable just because of doing this little amount of refactoring. So I want to move on into the next episode and see if we can do any more that would help out. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.